All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into some seriously weird territory.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at this lithograph called Lion from the Bestiary series.
Okay.
But when you think lion, you're probably thinking, okay, pretty straightforward.
Right, the king of the jungle.
But this is not your typical lion. This one has, get this, a scorpion's tail.
Wow.
And the anatomy. It's like the artist took every animal, threw them in a blender, and just hit puree.
That sounds pretty wild.
And that's what's so interesting about this, right? I mean, the artist somehow took this crazy idea and made it so real. Every little detail, the fur, the stinger, it's all so precise. It's like they studied a real creature, even though, obviously, it's completely made up.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what they were thinking about, right?
Right.
It could have inspired something this strange, but also kind of beautiful.
Well, to unpack all that, we're going to look at some, well, maybe unexpected sources.
Like what?
We're going to Zen Buddhism, the I Ching, and even some, modern art theory.
Okay, so we're really going for a deep dive here.
Exactly, because this isn't just about a cool picture. We're using this as a jumping off point to talk about some pretty big ideas, identity, change, what it even means to be, well, constantly in a state of becoming.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So, let's just start with what's right in front of us, this lion-scorpion thing. It's almost obsessively detailed.
I see that, yeah.
It reminds me of those old anatomical drawings from the Renaissance. Those artists, they were obsessed with getting the human body just right.
Right, all the muscles and bones and everything.
But here, it's like they're doing that with a creature that could never exist.
It's like they're saying that even fantasy needs a solid foundation.
That's a good point. And that attention to detail, it makes me think about the connection between art and science. Like, they're both driven by wanting to understand how things work, peeling back the layers of reality to see what's underneath.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what else it reminds me of? Hieronymus Bosch.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That medieval guy, he loved painting crazy creatures and, these nightmarish scenes. This has that same kind of, well, grotesque feel, but it's still beautiful.
Definitely, like a beautiful nightmare.
But the artist is saying, hey, look at the dark side, look at the chaos.
And that's where I think Zen Buddhism comes in. It offers a different way to see this chaos, this hybrid form. One of the big ideas in Zen is this thing called anatta.
Anatta.
Basically means no self. Like, we don't have a fixed, unchanging self or soul. We're actually just a bunch of experiences, emotions, perceptions, all constantly changing.
So you're saying this creature, this jumble of animal parts, it's like a picture of anatta. Like, it's showing us that identity is fluid,
Yeah.
always changing.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting, because in Zen, this idea of no self isn't a bad thing. It's actually seen as freeing.
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at.
When we let go of this idea that we have one fixed self, we open ourselves up to change and growth.
So it's like this creature is saying, hey, relax. Don't worry so much about who you think you are. Just go with the flow. Embrace the weirdness, the changes, all of it.
And this whole idea of embracing change, it's not some new trendy thing. It's been around for ages. Like, way back in ancient China, they had this text called the I Ching.
The I Ching. Yeah, I've heard of it, but honestly, I don't really know much about it.
So it's basically a system of, fortune telling based on these 64 hexagrams.
Hexagrams.
Yeah, these figures made up of 6 lines. Each one represents a different situation or state of being.
Okay. So people have been using this for centuries to figure out what's going on in their lives.
Exactly. Everything from personal problems to big, world-changing events.
And how does this connect to the lithograph?
Yeah.
To this whole idea of becoming?
Well, there's one hexagram that really stands out when we're talking about transformation, hexagram 49, called revolution.
Revolution, huh?
It's all about radical change, like shedding your old skin and becoming something new. It's about cycles, the ups and downs of life, how everything is always in motion.
So are you saying this lion-scorpion creature with all its mixed-up parts and wild energy, it could be like a symbol of this revolution hexagram?
That's a really interesting connection, because the I Ching, it reminds us that change isn't something to be afraid of. It's just part of life, a force for growth and renewal.
And sometimes, yeah, those changes can be pretty big, even revolutionary, like you said.
Right. Like, think about your own life. Those times when things really shifted.
Oh, yeah. Like changing careers or ending a relationship, even just like a major change in how I see the world.
It's never comfortable at first.
No, definitely not. But looking back, those tough times, those upheavals, they led to something better. Something more. Me.
And that's the thing. We resist change because it feels scary, unpredictable.
But what if we could learn to see those moments, those disruptions, as chances to grow, to let go of what's not working and embrace the new?
Exactly. I mean, it's easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. But this whole idea of being a beast of becoming, like that YouTube description said, it's kind of freeing.
How so?
It takes the pressure off, you know? Like, I don't have to have it all figured out. It's okay to be messy, to be in process.
Yeah, I get that. It's about accepting that we're not static. We're always evolving, learning, changing, and that's a good thing. It's what makes us resilient.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? Embrace change, I mean. It's easy to talk about, but when life throws a curveball?
That's where mindfulness comes in. Paying attention to what's going on inside, our thoughts, our feelings, our body. Just noticing without judging.
So we can see how we might be resisting change, holding on to old habits.
Exactly. Like becoming aware of the beast within. Those instincts, those fears, those things that hold us back.
And realizing that everyone else is going through their own stuff too. We're all beasts of becoming, in a way.
Right. We're all in this together, navigating this crazy thing called life. And that brings us to everyday enlightenment.
Everyday enlightenment.
Yeah, it's this idea that we can find these moments of deep insight and connection in the middle of ordinary life, just by being present, appreciating the fact that everything is always changing.
It's funny, when we started talking about this lithograph, I never thought we'd end up discussing, like, no self and enlightenment.
It's amazing what art can do,
Yeah.
right? It opens these doors in our minds, leading us down these unexpected paths.
Totally. It's like the artist gave us this key, and now we're unlocking all these hidden rooms inside ourselves. And the more we explore, the more we realize how much there is to discover about who we are, how we change, and how we connect to everything around us.
Exactly. It's a journey of self-discovery, and that's what makes it so exciting.
But, you know, embracing change sounds great when everything's going well, but what about when it hurts? When life throws you a curveball and you just feel like you're falling apart?
That's a really good question. And it's in those tough moments, those times of heartbreak and upheaval, that the I Ching becomes even more relevant. You know, that revolution hexagram, it's not just about positive change. It's about recognizing that sometimes transformation requires a complete breakdown.
Like we have to tear down the old to build something new.
Exactly. And it can be painful. But that pain, it's part of the process. Like the fire that tempers steel makes us stronger.
So even when it feels bad, it's still part of becoming.
Absolutely. And this is where that no-self idea, anatta, can be surprisingly comforting. Because if we let go of this idea of having one fixed, unchanging self, then we don't have to be so afraid of losing that self.
I see what you mean.
We can start to see that even when things change, even when we experience loss, there's still a continuity of experience, a flow of becoming that carries us forward.
You know, this creature with its scorpion tail and lion's mane, it's like a reminder that we can hold these seemingly opposite qualities within ourselves. We can be strong and vulnerable, fierce and adaptable, all at the same time.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of being a beast of becoming. We're not limited by these fixed definitions of who we are. We can evolve. We can integrate new experiences. And we can come out of those tough times even stronger than before.
You know, it makes me think about how much we try to control our lives, to make everything predictable and safe.
Yeah, we all want some sense of security.
But maybe that's part of the problem. What if, by letting go of that need for control, by embracing the uncertainty, the unpredictability, that's how we unlock our potential for growth?
I think you're onto something there. It's about shifting from a mindset of control to a mindset of curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah, instead of trying to force things to go a certain way, what if we approach life with a sense of wonder, an openness to whatever might happen?
That sounds amazing.
Right.
But how do we actually do that? Be more curious. It's easy to say, be open, but it's hard to change our mindset when we're so used to clinging to certainty.
It's a process, for sure. But it starts with small steps. Noticing those moments when we're resisting change. Like holding onto a grudge or clinging to a belief that isn't serving us anymore. Or even just refusing to try something new.
So we have to catch ourselves in those moments.
Exactly. And then gently challenge those patterns. Ask ourselves, what would happen if I let go? What could be possible if I embrace the unknown?
So it's about being more mindful and then choosing to soften, to loosen our grip on how we think things should be, and just let ourselves be carried along by the current of change.
I love that analogy because ultimately that's what it means to be a beast of becoming, trusting the flow of life, knowing that even when the waters get rough, we have the strength to navigate those currents and come out transformed.
And maybe, just maybe, we'll even find some beauty in the chaos along the way.
I love that. Softening, letting go. It does feel freeing. Like instead of fighting so hard, we can just, ride the waves.
And, we don't have to do it alone. Think about it. This creature, it's all these different animal parts put together. Yeah, it's like a Frankenstein monster of the animal world.
Right. And we're kind of like that too. We're shaped by the people around us.
All right. Yeah, you see that.
Our connections, our relationships, they give us strength, especially when things are changing.
It's funny how, like, when things get rough, we tend to isolate ourselves.
It's like we think we have to figure it all out on our own.
But maybe that's just, like, another way of resisting, another way of trying to control things.
That's a really good point. And that's where community comes in. It can be family, friends, a spiritual group, even just connecting with people online who get you.
Those people who get it, yeah.
It's all about belonging. It makes a huge difference when you're going through changes. It reminds you that you're not alone.
Yeah, that's so important, especially these days, when it's so easy to feel disconnected. Like, we need those reminders that we're part of something bigger.
The I Ching, it actually has something to say about this too. Remember that revolution hexagram?
Yeah, hexagram 49.
It's not just about personal transformation. It also talks about social and cultural change. Like, sometimes the old ways have to be completely overturned to make space for something new, something better.
So it's not just about us changing as individuals, it's about changing the world around us, too.
Exactly, making it more fair, more harmonious. And that brings us back to everyday enlightenment. It's not just about feeling peaceful or happy. It's about realizing that we're all connected. And then using that understanding, that awareness of change, to make a positive impact.
Wow. That's pretty inspiring. It's like this lithograph is challenging us to really step up, to become like agents of change, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
And one of the best ways to do that is through creativity. Like the artist who made this lithograph, we can all channel our experiences, our insights, our hopes for a better world into something real, something that can inspire others.
So it could be art, music, writing, or even just like the way we live our lives.
Exactly. It's all about expressing ourselves. And when we embrace our own transformation, when we have the courage to change and grow, it creates a ripple effect, a positive change that spreads outward.
It's like we become part of this bigger story of change that's always unfolding.
Exactly.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot in this deep dive. We started with this like mythical creature and ended up talking about everything from, Zen Buddhism to like changing the world.
It's incredible how one piece of art can spark so many ideas, so many connections.
Totally. It's like this lithograph is a mirror, reflecting our own inner world, our hopes, our fears, everything.
And sometimes when we look in that mirror, we can see something deeper, something that connects us to something much bigger than ourselves.
It's like that Georgia O'Keeffe quote, "I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way." This lithograph, it's definitely spoken to us in ways we never expected.
And it's given us a lot to think about. Embracing change, being mindful, connecting with others, becoming forces for good in the world. These are big ideas that we can take with us.
Yeah, definitely a lot to chew on. So, as we wrap up, is there one final thought you want to leave our listener with?
Don't be afraid to be a beast of becoming. Don't be afraid to change and grow. Embrace the fact that life is fluid, that everything is connected, and that you're a part of it all. Because in that embrace, you'll find not only your own path, but also the power to make the world a better place.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the beast of becoming. Until next time, keep diving deep.